ACRD planning staff, Alex Dyer, maybe in a different spot on your screen, planning manager, Charity Hallberg Dodds on the lower left, and she's a planning technician, and Kathy, oh, that too. We'll get to that next. So then Kathy MacArthur, planning assistant. As you heard the little recording in progress thing, this hearing is being held electronically using Zoom. It is being recorded and live streamed on our website. Would staff please provide direction and instruction how to participate in this hearing?
Absolutely, thank you. So first of all, thank you for participating with us tonight. Looks like we have the applicants here as well as one member of the public, which is great. If you're watching the live stream on the website and wish to join the meeting, the details on how to connect can be found in the Zoom meeting invite document linked on the public hearing page. I just want to start by quickly highlighting some of the tools in Zoom that will help us help you participate and help us keep on track this evening. If you're participating online, you have the option to turn on or off your video, or to mute or unmute your audio so other meeting participants can see or hear you. These controls are in the bottom left of your screen if you're on a computer like I am, or at the top right, I believe, on your tablet or smartphone. I would just ask that you please keep your audio muted at all times unless you are going to speak, just to reduce the background noise, which can make it hard for everyone to hear the presentations. There will be an opportunity to speak after staff introduce the application and the applicants provide comments on their proposal. So when the chair calls upon any members of the public to comment on the bylaw, we ask that you either put your hand up or call out that you'd like to speak. Once you've been recognized by the chair or by staff, we ask that you state your name and address, followed by any questions or comments that you have. There's also a chat feature on Zoom where that are accessed from the controls at the bottom of your screen. Please ask a question at any time. All questions will be addressed as we move along. They'll be brought forward when the chair asks for public comments. So if you think of anything, please throw it in there. There will also be a final opportunity to, at the end of the public hearing, to ask any final questions or make any comments. And again, I just want to reiterate that this public hearing is being live streamed on the ACRD website, and a recording of the meeting will be publicly available. Back to you, John. Thanks.
The subject of this hearing is bylaw P1431. The bylaw is applicable to 7799 Beaver Creek Road and is necessary to facilitate a subdivision proposal. If you have questions or comments about other unrelated topics, I ask that you contact regional district staff after this hearing has been terminated. Would staff now read out the notice of public hearing?
Okay, a public hearing for residents and property owners within electoral area E, Beaver Creek, will be held to consider bylaw P1431. Bylaw P1431 is a zoning atlas amendment to rezone a portion of Lot A, District Lot 31, Alberni District, Plan 4788, from small holdings A1 District to acreage residential RA3 District in order to facilitate subdivision. Now, the public hearing will be held by the Director for Electoral Area E, the alternate director, or the chairperson of the regional district. The board resolution making this delegation, along with bylaw P1431 and relevant background documents, are available for review online at www.acrd.bc.ca/events/27-9-2021. And planning staff are available to answer questions through email and or by phone during normal office hours from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, from September 15th, 2021 to September 27th, 2021, excluding statutory holidays. Now, during the COVID-19 pandemic, providing an opportunity for public input and safeguarding public health are top priorities for the ACRD. Consider written submissions as an effective means to provide your input. Now, anyone who feels their interest in property will be affected by the proposed bylaw will be afforded a reasonable opportunity to be heard, and options include participating in the public hearing by electronic means using Zoom video conferencing or teleconferencing, and or submitting correspondence to the ACRD. If you wish to participate in the public hearing electronically or by phone, full instructions to do so are available on our website at www.acrd.bc.ca/events/27-9-2021, or it can be provided by contacting planning staff by email at planning@acrd.bc.ca or by phone at 250-720-2700. This public hearing will be recorded and live streamed on our website. Written correspondence can be submitted to the ACRD by one of the following methods: a hard copy to the ACRD office drop slot or by mail to the planning department at the address below. An email sent to planning@acrd.bc.ca before 4 p.m. September 27th, 2021. Email correspondence will only be considered received if receipt confirmation is provided by ACRD staff, or a fax sent to 250-723-1327 before 4 p.m. September 27th, 2021. Again, fax correspondence will only be considered received if receipt confirmation is provided by ACRD staff. Now, all correspondence must be received by the ACRD no earlier than 8 a.m. on September 15th, 2021, and no later than 4 p.m. on September 27th, 2021. Correspondence submitted and or received outside of these parameters will not be included in the public hearing. Thank you, John.
The purpose of this public hearing is to receive input, written and verbal, from any person who believes that their interest in property is affected by the bylaw. The regional board will receive full minutes of this hearing before voting on the bylaws. Staff is taking minutes that summarize the issues raised. Please speak clearly and ensure accuracy. To ensure accuracy. Would staff please introduce the proposal?
Sure. So I'll begin by the agency referral responses that we received. They noted no objections or that their interests were unaffected. A referral response from the Agricultural Land Commission was received, which noted that the Ministry of Agriculture's Guide to Edge Planning provides recommendations for buffering from the ALR. A copy of this referral, along with the other agency referral responses, are available for public review on the ACRD website and will form part of the public hearing report considered by the board. There was no correspondence received from the public ahead of the hearing. And then the proposal itself, the property owners are applying to rezone a portion of their 4.7 acre property located at 7799 Beaver Creek Road, as we mentioned, to acreage residential RA3 district in order to accommodate a 2-lot subdivision. The area to be rezoned is the approximately 1.2 acre portion of land lying outside of the agricultural land reserve on the south side of the property adjacent to Beaver Creek Road. The remainder of the property at the rear would retain the small holdings A1 district zoning and would remain in the ALR. As a condition of rezoning approval, the ACRD board has required that the applicants provide an assessment from a registered on-site wastewater practitioner to confirm that the property can accommodate on-site sewage disposal to a 0.6 acre minimum lot size. The applicants are working on this now and on the sewage disposal requirements, and confirmation of that will be required prior to adoption of the bylaw. I think I'll leave it there. Thank you.
So would the applicant like to add anything to that? You're muted, so if you're talking, we don't hear you.
Cheryl and Ray, are you guys there? Would you like to add any comments?
Probably having trouble getting their phone off mute.
They were on before for a moment. So.
Hearing none, we will now hear from members of the public, which I don't see any there. Plus, please wait until you've been recognized by me and state your name and address before beginning. We will hear anyone who wishing to speak for the first time before allowing second comments.
So it looks like we had one member of the public who is dropped out of the meeting. So we don't have any members of the public participating right now.
And we can't hear from the proponents, so moving along. So, staff. So please be advised that the members of the Board of Directors of Albany-Clayoquot Regional District cannot receive new information related to this bylaw between the end of this hearing and making a decision on the bylaw at the next board meeting, October 13th. If any board member does so, the hearing will have to be invalidated and would have to be held again. So this is really, really important. I know we didn't hear from the proponent here, but the only people that can hear from the proponent after this meeting is staff. So with that in mind, does anybody have any final comments, staff or anybody else? Oh, I did have one comment.
Sure, please go ahead.
So Koch Common was within the area that would have to be notified, correct?
It was for the public hearing notice. It was actually also at the request of the Beaver Creek Advisory Planning Commission. The application was referred to them as part of the agency referral process. So that
Okay, good.
that was something that was done at the beginning of July when we sent this out, and we did not receive any correspondence relating to this rezoning.
Okay, I think that was my thinking to begin with. Thank
Great.
you. Okay.
Cheryl and Ray, are you, if you can hear us and you want to say anything, now's your opportunity. I know that you're able to connect before, so you might not have anything to add, but if you do, that would be a good time.
Okay, so I call for the first time for any further representations on the bylaw. No comments. I call for a second time for any further representations on the bylaw. There's nobody commenting. And I call for a third time for any further representations on the bylaw.
Hold on here a second, John. We got somebody joining right now.
Okay.
Just under the wire. Sorry about that. It says iPad 2. Is that Ray and Cheryl, or is that I saw Fred Boyko was on here before.
So we are at the point that this is John McNabb, Vice Chair of the ACRD and Director for the Regional District. So we are looking for comments with regards to the rezoning that we're considering at this public hearing, which is 7799 Beaver Creek Road. So at this point, I've been asking for comments from the public with regards to this. And so would that be something you were here for?
Would you like to add any comments? If you can hear us?
You're muted.
You're muted. Sorry. Should be a little microphone thing that you can click.
Right there.
Sure,
I'm
sure.
sorry I had trouble connecting. My name is Lisa Nidal and I'm from 7781 Beaver Creek. I am direct neighbors to the property in question. Unfortunately, I was a little not tech savvy and missed the first portion of the meeting. But my primary concern about the notice when I read the notice was the density of occupation of that property. They're planning a subdivision to subdivide. Are they, did I understand that they're planning a subdivision on that property?
So I'd be happy to answer that.
Thank you.
They are applying for a 2-lot subdivision. So the intent would be that they would subdivide off the front 1.2 acres of the property with the existing home or the existing building in the front, and then leave the
Correct.
remaining 3.5 acres at the back that would be accessed via a panhandle driveway that would be on the east side of the property. So there'd be a second driveway on the on the side is the intention, on the opposite side of the current driveway. If that makes sense.
Okay, so would that be at 7801 side or the 7781 side?
Let me just open up. Let me just open up my map here.
Okay.
7781 side.
Yeah, so their intention is to add one at the 7781 side.
Oh,
But that is not, so what we're dealing with now is the minimum lot size, right? So we're not actually laying out the details of what the subdivision would look like. So there is some room to maneuver in how they want to lay out that final subdivision. It may end up that it's easier to access off that the existing driveway up the left-hand side as well.
okay. I am concerned because obviously that would be right down my property line. And my concern would be the population density, right? So if the 3 acres they are planning to subdivide off, and had more than one single family dwelling on it, I would be concerned about that, because that's a direct conflict with the plans we have for our property and the enjoyment of our property. So, yeah.
Appreciate that. So just a note on the number of dwellings as well. On any property in the regional district right now, we allow what we call an accessory dwelling unit on a lot that's 1 acre or larger, and that's a smaller secondary home that could either be a secondary suite within a home, or it could be a unit attached to an accessory building, for example, or an actual standalone cottage house, and that's limited to 80 square meters, which is about 860 square feet, and you would need a 1 acre minimum to build that. That area is a bit unique in that much of it is in the ALR. I know the front portions of those properties are not in the ALR, and that would be where the second home would be permitted right now. Right now, the Agricultural Land Commission only allows 1 home per lot in the ALR. But again, that is also we have heard from the Land Commission that they are changing the rules on that and allowing secondary homes in the ALR as of January 1st in the new year. So the fact that it is subdivided, brings some potential. If that lot in the front is 1.2 acres, that it may allow for 2 homes on it. It would allow for 2 homes.
Well, it currently has 2 homes on it.
That's correct.
It currently has 3 homes on it.
Mm-hmm. So I'm glad you raised that point as well. So when we look at the subdivision referral, so if the rezoning were to proceed, and the applicant's next step would be to apply for a subdivision, we would the application is made to the Ministry of Transportation. They refer it back to the ACRD to make sure that it complies with our bylaws. At that time, we need to make sure that there's 2 houses on the property, a maximum 2 houses on the property, and that it meets the bylaws. So it may be that they either have to remove an additional building or make it non-habitable by removing a kitchen and a bedroom if that's the case, and converting it into an accessory building or something like that. But that is, there is a mechanism for us to regulate that as well.
Okay. Is this the appropriate time to be asking what their intent is with the 3 acres that is subdivided off? Is it their intent that they would develop that themselves, or they would sell it as vacant land for someone else to develop?
I don't know. I mean, that would be up to the applicants. If you're welcome to answer that, Ray and Cheryl, if you're on the line and you're able to do so. I think if you hit *6 on your phone, it unmutes your line if that's what you're trying to do. But I mean, at the end of the day, that 3.5 acres at the rear of the properties within the agricultural land reserve, so it's very limiting in what you can do there. I mean, any subdivision within that ALR portion has to be approved by the Agricultural Land Commission, and they have been fairly restrictive on subdivisions in the last number of years. And they also limit the number of, they limit the range of uses. So there's no industrial permitted, there's no commercial and all that sort of stuff. So fairly confident that will remain agricultural land, or at least rural residential land, right?
Which is fine. I understand what you're saying, but in this area, we've recently, within the last few years, faced that challenge before, not far from where the subject property is. So you can see, there's a concern there too, right? For sure. Because rules have been changed before, or skirted. Yeah. So it's all a concern. So what's our step from here? Obviously, and I want to point this out as well, obviously it would be to our benefit too if we were able to subdivide off a portion of our property, if it was an option for us. But that's certainly something that, because of the way we feel about the area, we would be very concerned and propose restrictions on what was built on that additional property. So that's why I'm asking what their intent is, because I know that our intent would be to preserve the flavor of the neighborhood.
Well,
if not improve it.
Yeah. So I mean, what we're dealing with right now is a a rezoning to reduce the minimum lot size, right? So the uses aren't substantially changing. In fact, they're actually becoming more restrictive, changing from an A1 zone, which allows for more rural type uses like agriculture, for example, to the RA3 zone, which allows for that 0.6 acre minimum lot size. But they don't have enough land outside of the ALR to subdivide more than one lot. So I mean, it's a maximum of one lot in the front there, and then the remainder at the back would be that 3.5 acres. So when you talk about a 3 acre lot, that would be the remainder in the ALR, and that's not being rezoned. So I mean, you certainly also have the option to apply to rezone. It looks like there's a good portion of your property that's located outside of the ALR. So there's potential there. I understand, that's you might not be interested in that, but I know there's an application process that people are following, and I'm happy you're able to connect and have your voice heard on the matter for sure.
Okay. So what's our step going forward? What's next? What do we do?
So the board will receive minutes of this public hearing and of all the correspondence we've received from the referral agencies, and then the board will make a decision on second and third readings of this bylaw on October 13th. And if that proceeds, that would be at the ACRD board meeting on October 13th. If that proceeds, then it would be the regional district would work with the applicant on finalizing their requirements for sewage disposal. They'll need a wastewater professional to come out and confirm that they are capable of meeting the sewage regulations at that site.
Is that what's referred to as a perk test?
A little bit different than a perk test. It'd be a soil assessment from a registered on-site wastewater professional, and they're the people that are certified to install and inspect sewage system. So that would be their step to finalize the zoning. If the board adopts the zoning after all those conditions are met, the neighbor's next step would be to apply, like I said, to the Ministry of Transportation, who is the approving authority for subdivisions in the rural area, would apply to them, and they would be the ministry would set conditions on how the layout of the lot would look like, how each lot would be accessed, for example, and it would be referred back to the ACRD. We would make sure that the setbacks are met and that minimum lot sizes are met, and lot width and things like that. So there's a few steps left. We will also confirm the Beaver Creek water system requirements as part of our process. So they would need to pay the development cost charges and ensure, and we would need to work on our end to ensure that they're able to connect to water. And then the last step that we would follow for subdivision would be a development permit application and an assessment on the creek, which is at the rear of the property. But we do have development permit areas to protect the riparian area along the creek. So that would be something else they would need to follow as a condition of subdivision as well.
So
again, that's kind of down the road. We're at the beginning step.
Sorry, I'm just wondering, what is the setback riparian area for the creek?
It's a 15-meter development permit area, which is just under 50 feet. And that is for any development or any subdivision of land, we require a development permit and an assessment from a professional biologist that will make recommendations on how to safely develop the land. I do recognize it's at the far end, like the north end of the property. So there, I don't anticipate there's going to be any direct development of that, but part of the process is that they get that biologist on site, and we just confirm that as a condition of subdivision.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for answering my questions.
No worries. Thank you for joining in.
So just to say, just asking, you did get a notice of this public hearing, did you, in the mail?
I did. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Just double checking.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Appreciate it. So I've asked for a first time for further representations. I don't think that the proponent is able to respond to us here at the moment. So I'll call for a second time for any further representations on the bylaw. I hear none. I would call for a third time for any further representations on the bylaw. Okay, and I'll just repeat this notice because you weren't here when I did it,
Thank you.
but please be advised that the members of the ACRD Board of Directors cannot receive new information related to this bylaw between the end of this hearing and making a decision on the bylaw next board meeting, October 13th. If any board member does so, the hearing will be invalidated and would have to be held again. So that means don't phone any of the regional district directors, don't email them. You can talk to staff, that's no problem, but we're out of bounds. So then I would call for a third time for any further representations on this bylaw. And hearing no further comments, I declare this meeting